Welcome to Fostering Bridges, a podcast dedicated to uplifting, supporting, and empowering foster, adoptive, and kinship parents.
Today, I am visiting with Tonya Fuller, who works for the Department of Family and Protective Services as a faith-based and community engagement specialist. Tonya, thank you so much for being on today. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me be here.
So, as we've talked in the past, you've been with the state for going on 17 years now, right?
Correct, yes.
And has all of that been with DFPS?
Yes, these 17 years have all been with DFPS.
So what does a faith-based and community engagement specialist do?
Well, we work in the community with churches, businesses, community leaders, just a community in general. And we call ourselves the bridge, the connector, and we just go out and we talk to people about why we would like for them to come and partner with DFPS. We talk about partnerships. We talk about different ministries that they can create that will better support our children and families and caseworkers.
Excellent. And I have to tell you, I love that you use the term bridging, because, Fostering Bridges, our nonprofit, we're all about trying to bridge people to the foster care system. That's why we do these podcasts, trying to educate people and get them aware and involved. So, Tonya, I am curious. A lot of folks that I've been talking to, especially at church, have been confused the last couple of years because Texas, for a handful of years, has been rolling out the privatization of foster care. And so I know in my region kind of who has those contracts and so forth. But what does it mean to privatize foster care, and what does that leave the state's role? Like who does what now?
Okay, so as far as the Department of Family Protective Services, we have what's called Investigations and Family-Based Safety Service. Investigations is the very first knock on the door. They're the ones to go out and they investigate allegations of abuse and neglect. And if the abuse and neglect is found reason to believe, then they will take that case and then they will transfer it to a family-based safety service worker. The family-based safety service worker, they work in home with the families to help eliminate or reduce the reason why the allegations was called in on that particular family. Now, if there was enough concerns and the department had to remove the children, then that's when the child will go into foster care. And for us here, that is handled by 4 kids for a family. And then you ask what the state's role is. Well, DFPS is still the overseer of every child that's in foster care. We basically just contracted out our services to a third-party vendor.
Okay, so I'm just making sure I'm understanding. If there's an allegation reported, all investigations and the determination of removal all still stays with the state. The state is still over the foster care, but if the child is removed, somebody has a contract to carry out the foster care, but you guys still supervise. And then you guys also still work with the parents on what is their to-do list in order to be reunified, right?
Now, the part that we still work with the parents, that's called family-based safety service, and we do not have legal custody of their children. And if we have legal custody of the children, then that's whatever contractors in the particular area. Like for here, for us, it's 4 kids, 4 family.
Got it. All right. So you mentioned those investigations. If somebody's wondering, or they see a scenario that they think is sketchy, what do they do? If they think abuse might be going on with the child, like what is the process? What should the average Joe in the community, how should they respond to that?
Well, the very first thing that anybody can do, if they have any concerns about abuse or neglect, they need to call the 1-800 number. That's 1-800-252-5400. And then they need to make sure that when they call that number, they provide the person who answers the phone with as much information about the the situation, they need to be able to provide the name of the children, the address, if they know the phone number, and then if they know the ages and the names of the children and also the names of the parents. The more information that they provide, the more information that will be routed out to the investigations once that call is ended and it's routed out to whatever prospective county that the intake came in from.
And are those calls or reports, are those kept confidential?
Yes, sir. Those are confidential. We are not able to provide the name of the reporter to parents, even though I know sometimes people say, "Oh, so and so told me who the reporter is." No, sir, we're not able to provide the information at all.
Okay, so when in doubt, give you guys a call, and then I'm assuming you guys have screeners that kind of determine, even what's being reported, is it something that should receive a visit or an investigation, right?
Yes, sir, we do.
And what are some of the most common types of calls that the hotline might get? Like, what do people usually see that they think, should be calling on?
Physical neglect, neglectful supervision, and physical abuse.
Okay. And so if you're in question on those, call the hotline. Will you give me the number one more time?
Yes, sir. It's 1-800-252-5400.
All right. And as far as so that's why people are calling. What are some of the most common things that bring children into care? Is it the same issues, or is there one type of neglect or abuse that seems to be more prevalent? Why do people end up in care?
Well, a lot of times the children end up in care. It could be for multiple reasons. Most of the time, it might be because of drug use. A parent might fail a drug test, and just because they fail a drug test does not immediately mean that their children are going to come into care. They're going to be looking at how does the drug use affect the child in the home, and if the drug use, if it's determined that it's affecting the child in the home, and then we go to court, we have to type up an affidavit. We type up the affidavit, we take it to our legal representative, and he or she will read that. And then if there's enough in there, then they go to the judge, and the judge will sign the order to say, these particular children will be coming into the custody of the state of Texas.
And so drug use or neglect as a result of drug use, is that one of the most common reasons kids end up in care?
Yes, sir. The neglect of supervision can be from the drug use, and I would say it really just every case is different. It really just depends on the allegation and what the investigator finds when he or she goes out to conduct their interviews, whether investigation with families, with collaterals, with doctors, with teachers, and then just anybody in the community who might know that family.
Right. Now, I know that there's not a parent out there who ever desires to see, CPS show up at their door. However, if somebody finds themselves in that situation, someone's coming out, they say, "Hey, we received a report." What should that parent expect? If you watch too much TV, you're going to get some bad advice on there, I imagine. So
Yes.
how should they respond? What should they expect? The investigation. What happens in those visits?
Well, the very first thing that they should expect is that hopefully respect from the worker when he or she comes out to talk to the family. The worker will be open and honest, and the worker will tell them that we received an allegation. I'm just going to say of neglectful supervision of your children, and then they let them know that we received a report stating that Jane Doe or Johnny Doe, y'all are using methamphetamines in the home with your children. And then at that time, they will let them know, well, because of this, the report stated you don't have any running water, you don't have any electricity and different things like that, or you don't have any food in your home. And so, and at that time, the worker will be able to look in the home, observe the home to see if these allegations are true. And then if the worker goes, they will discuss all those concerns with the parent. And then the parent can say, well, no, you can see I have running water. You see I have lights. You see I have food. But the only thing when it comes to the drugs, then the worker will let the parent know, I'm going to need for you to go take a drug test. That way we can determine whether or not the allegations of drug use is correct for your family.
Right.
And then confidentiality also, not going out and telling everybody about their case.
Right. And does law enforcement assist the caseworker when they go out there or accompany them?
Not at all times. It really just depends on it's a case by case scenario. So it depends on if there's a repeat history with this family where we already have safety concerns with the family. And then it also could depend on when the report is called in. If somebody says, this is a very valid family, you might, because a lot of times people will let us know that. And then if the worker goes out there and he or she sees anything, and they can call law enforcement to come out and accompany them while they're out there at the home doing the visit.
And so if the allegations, or if the caseworker at the time decides, yeah, these allegations seem to be substantiated, then they go ahead and remove the child. What comes next?
Well, if the report is substantiated, they have to go back and they staff it with their supervisor, and then their supervisor will make sure that, we'll staff it with our legal department. So everything is a staffing, so the workers have to provide the information to the supervisor. Then the supervisor, he or she will staff it. And then once we get that okay from, or the approval from our legal department or our county attorney or our district attorney and the judge, then that's when we're able to remove a child from the home. But we cannot remove any children from a home without the judge's order.
So there's never a time where one person makes that call. It's always, they can say that they think this is what's going on, but then they have their superiors, they have other staff, and then a judge ultimately. And so it's not a possibility really for a caseworker to not like someone and say, I'm going to take away your kids. No, it's a legit process that a lot of people have to sign off on the evidence, right?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
All right. Good to hear. I know that too. And I just like other people to hear that as well. So I'm in Cherokee County. You're in Cherokee County. Does your personal region, does that go beyond Cherokee County?
Yes, sir. I cover Cherokee County and 9 other additional counties here in Region 4.
Okay, so you have a lot of counties. So tell me, what is the need for foster parents right now in Cherokee County or even in kind of East Texas area? Like, how big of a need is it? How many children are coming into care?
Well, I can say I used to be a foster and adoption caseworker, so I used to license foster homes. And so I will let you know that there is a tremendous need for foster parents in Cherokee County and then the other surrounding counties and all the counties in Region 4. I know there's approximately 1,300 youth, kids and youth in foster care. The last time I pulled numbers, I believe it might have been 8 licensed Cherokee County homes. Wow. And it was roughly 80 something kids in care. And I'm sorry, I could look up the numbers and tell you for sure, but since I'm not able to access, I'm not in the building, I can't look it up and give you the exact numbers. But when you look at the number of kids in care versus the number of foster homes that we have, they'll let you know that there is a need because we have more children going outside the county than remaining in the county because we just don't have the foster parents to meet the capacity that we have right now for the number of kids in care.
And so if a child's removed or sibling set or something like that, and they're being placed into care and there are only a dozen or so foster homes in Cherokee County, they're sending them somewhere else. Where do they usually get sent?
Well, our first option is a relative. If we can put a child in a home with a relative, even though we still have to go to court and get custody, they're staying with their family. But if we cannot put a child in a home with the family, then they're going to a licensed foster home. And if Cherokee County doesn't have a licensed foster home, then they're going to the next area that has an open home. And if there's not any homes around any of the counties that's touching Cherokee, then we have to go to the next area where there's potential open foster home. And if we don't have any in our prospective region 4 area, then we're going outside of our region, placing our children outside the region. And sometimes our kids are placed 4 and 5 hours away from Cherokee County because that's where the availability was.
Right. And I can't imagine being a youth removed and then being removed not just from your home, but your entire community. And so thinking of community, how, apart from, sign up and go through the training and become a foster parent, how can the community get involved? What are some things that church members, community members can do?
Okay, so this is normally what I say. I tell people you can help from prevention to permanency, and and that will look different for everybody. Prevention is what can you do to help us from having children come into care? Can you start a support group for parents? Can you create a parenting group for parents, a sustainable parenting group where the parents can go and learn some effective parenting techniques? Can you, if there's we have, trying to think of something, you know, can you buddy up with the parent? Like if you're a next door neighbor to a mom and you see that mom always having to leave her kids alone, sometimes just going over and getting to know her and ask her, hey, is there any reason why you're leaving your kids behind? I'm leaving your kids at home. And it can be that the mom doesn't have anybody to watch her children. Well, you find out that she's a single mom and only thing she needs somebody to watch her kids while she goes to work. Well, can you bridge that gap and watch her children? That way they're not staying home alone. And that right there might eliminate them coming into foster care because she has a support system, the next door neighbor.
Right. And that's before you go on to other ways. That example is so valuable. I mean, it's been, oh goodness, probably 15 years now, but my wife and I had a chance to do that where there was the apartment complex and a single mom of 3 was trying to figure out, how do I go to work? And she had a night shift. How do I go to work at night and yet be there for my kids and not leave them? And so we just set up bunk beds. There was nothing official about it with the state. Didn't have to do any of that stuff, but just getting involved. We set up bunk beds in our house. The kids would come over when she went to work, hang out for an hour, go to bed, and then in the middle of the night when she got home, we would kind of carry them over into their beds and she'd get them ready the next day. And it just, that sort of personal involvement makes a world of difference in these families. And that's, I'm just trying to highlight that for community members to actively invest in people and love on them. You don't have to wait for the state to say, this mom's in trouble. You can jump in and start helping. So anyway, back to you.
Yeah, that is correct. And my supervisor was the one who actually talked about that at a meeting that she and I went to. It is, like you said, loving on them before it becomes a crisis. And so, and then if for some reason, you feel like you cannot do that or that's not your calling, then become a babysitter, um, for a foster parent or become a foster parent. And I know everybody cannot foster, but everybody can do something. You have to ask yourself, what is your something? And then we have some moms that they don't know how to budget, they don't know how to cook, and it's meeting our families where they are, because if you meet them where they are, then you can meet the needs that they have at that particular time. And then another thing that we need is some more substance abuse centers here. I mean, we have some good ones here, but what happens when they're full to capacity and our parents are not able to get the inpatient services they need because that particular, center is full. Um, and and sometimes it's just providing a mom's day out for a mom because she might be at her wit's end.
Right.
And it's just always what can we do? Think about different things that you can do. And another thing that I always tell people is pour into the caseworkers. You know, they're the ones out here work with these families on a day-to-day basis. They also need somebody to say, you know what, let's love on them too, because the one thing that we have learned, retention. If we can keep good caseworkers, then it also benefits our families because they're not seeing the different caseworkers. And this is from investigations to family-based safety services and also the permanency workers. Families do better and they thrive better when they see the same person every month until their case is dismissed or, until their case is dismissed.
Right. So if somebody has a way to get involved or a passion and interest, they can use it. Just love on families that are in need and love on children in need. Obviously, the best way to help is to prevent abuse. And it just so happens we're coming up on Child Abuse Prevention Month. Tell me about
We
that.
are.
What is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and what's going on in our community with that?
Well, Child Abuse Prevention Month is just what you said. It is the month that is set aside to raise awareness in the community about child abuse. Um, what can we do to prevent it? So for the month of April, we have several events going on. So April the 1st in Tyler, we're going to have what's called Ring the Bell. Ring the Siren. And it's just going to be, we're going to be at the courthouse, well, not the courthouse, at the square across from the courthouse in downtown Tyler. And law enforcement is just going to come at 12 o'clock. They're going to ring their sirens to declare this April Child Abuse Prevention Month. We're going to have somebody to read the proclamation, have somebody to pray, and then we're done with that particular event. And then April the 4th, it's Go Blue Day. That is the day where we're asking the community to just turn it blue, wear blue. April the 11th, we will have Go Blue Day in Anderson County at 11 o'clock at the courthouse. We will have a speaker. His name is Damien. He is an investigator for the Department of Family and Protective Services, and he will be talking to the community about prevention and why it's important for the community to wrap around families, investigations, and family-based safety service families. That way we can prevent, eliminate, removals of their children from going into foster care. I'm going backwards. April the 3rd, we have Go Blue Day in Marion County, which is in Jefferson, Texas, at 12 o'clock at First National Bank. The proclamation will be there, and then I believe it'll be some vendors there with tables passing out information about child abuse. April the 4th, in Marshall, which is Harrison County, they will have Go Blue Day at 12 o'clock at the courthouse. They will have a speaker, I believe, from Martin House. Somebody will read the proclamation, and then that'll be that Go Blue Day. April the 4th at 4:30 in Longview is they partner with Downtown Live, so they will be having a child abuse awareness event there. They will be passing out literature from the different agencies or community organizations in Gregg County. That way, parents will leave with pamphlets and brochures. If they have any questions, they will be able to reach out to those individual organizations. April the 28th, in Gregg County, I will be hosting my first lunch and learn about child abuse prevention. Wood County has, and I'm not for sure the date, Wood County has a candlelight vigil they do every year for child abuse prevention. And that candlelight vigil, the focus is on the number of children who were victims of abuse and neglect for that particular fiscal year.
So Tonya,
And I think that,
yeah, so this is a long list. Is there a
yes.
spot online that people can jump on to a website and take a look and see the whole list?
No, we do not have a list online. I guess we need to figure it out how to put this information online. Once I figured out, I would share it with you. This is just different things that our community partners do, and things that we do. We just come together and try to do something for Child Abuse Prevention Month.
All right. Well, I appreciate all that you guys are doing. Do you have any final words of wisdom that you want to share with the community as far as DFPS goes and your role and how they can be involved?
Okay, so the one thing that I will say is this. I've been, like I said earlier, almost 17 years with the Department of Family Protective Services. And I just want people to know that there is a lot of great work that goes on behind the scenes of the department that the community would never see. So just know that majority of the workers put their heart and souls into what they do every day. We are truly here to try to benefit the families that we serve on a day-to-day basis. We want our families to become we want to equip them with everything that they need to be better parents for their children, and then also to give their kids what they need. If the kids need counseling, we want to give the family unit everything they need to be a stronger family unit once we are no longer with their family. And so, so that's basically all I have to say. Thank you for this opportunity to be able to talk about, a job that we do, a job that a lot of people don't understand what we do. And the most important thing that people can do, you can reach out to myself or my coworker, Patsy Rocha, and let us come and talk to your churches, your businesses about understanding what the work that we do for DFPS, and also talk to you about training and really explaining what the day-to-day job of a CPS worker truly does look like.
Right. Well, Tonya, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate all the work you guys do. Thank you for working in the community and for helping people know the need and for you personally feeling the need. Appreciate you, and we'll talk again.
Okay, thank you. You have a good one.
You too.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Fostering Bridges. We hope today's conversation gave you new insights, encouragement, and a reminder that you're not alone on this journey. If you found value in this episode, please share it with someone who might need it, and be sure to subscribe so you never miss an update. Remember, building bridges in our families, our communities, and ourselves is a continuous journey. Until next time, take care and keep fostering those bridges.